Good evening. This is Hotline Live with the Daily Record, live at the Euros. Countdown is on till Sunday's Day of Destiny, epic encounter with Hungary with history awaiting. Joined by Andy Newport back in Glasgow with me and the boys out in Germany, Keith and Scott. We've got the guys first in Germany. How are you boys?
Prost.
Good, Michael.
We're looking well. 2 weeks in, you're still looking nice and healthy, boys?
I don't know about that. I'm still recovering from a monster burger I had for dinner about an hour ago.
Listen, now, throughout this, for some reason, we've been showing pictures of cows, kind of psychic cows and all that. I have no idea why we've been doing it. But something happened today, which has given me a bit of the fear. For the first time on this trip, Scott failed to finish his plate. I ate more than him. This burger that we just had. And it's made me, is this a psychic Scotty experience? Or is it trying to, I think Scotty's trying to tell, he's trying to connect with somebody.
I don't know if I'm going to get through this podcast without getting into some kind of food coma. See if I just go silent for a wee while, you know what's happening.
I was going to say, Scott, you're not finishing your burger before a doctor or check the insurance and all that, but what a worry.
I couldn't. To be fair, it was my 7th course of the day. You know what I mean?
And by the way, this is only after he's had the extreme toilet problems. Over the previous couple of days before that.
I was going to say, boys, last time I spoke to you boys, were concerned about your underwear situation. Has that been resolved?
It has, but it's cost me about €30. I had to go to H&M. I had to go to H&M this afternoon to buy some new scants.
Had to get a reload.
When I come back from Cologne, there you go. This is this is what this place is all about. Come back into Happy Town. It's been a stressful 48, 72 hours, whatever it was. Come back into Happy Town. My laundry's all there, all laid out, neatly folded, ironed. The end of my bed, back in Happy Town. So I've got plenty of pants. I'm fine for the rest of the duration.
I bought 6 new pair of boxers, Mick, so Scotland better win, so I get good use of them next week.
The best trick, I think in Munich, there's a big massive Primark in Munich, I think, as well. The best trick, you done a wee shopping run as well in the game last week.
There's a what? What do you call it?
Big Primark. Primark. Oh, here we go. Primark, Jack goes to.
He's been hunting around Garmisch looking for a Waitrose.
I can see that shirt. That shirt is that a Matt Allen designer? Is that Matt Allen? Matt Allen.
Giorgio Asda.
Anyway, boys, I guess I think you guys are talking to Scotland today as well. On to business matters now rather than underwear matters. Obviously, John Carver was speaking today, wasn't he?
He was brilliant, Mick. He was brilliant.
From what we could see from the broadcast, it was really good. But obviously, first and foremost, bad news confirmed. Kieran Tierney. We'll listen to the clip first of all from Carver, then we'll come back to you boys to see what you're thinking, right?
Obviously, we seen he had an issue the other night. Obviously, stretched it off. He's got an issue with his hamstring, and as we speak, he's heading home to be assessed by Arsenal. And that's all I can really see at the moment. They'll obviously give you updates as they have it. But he's obviously extremely disappointed. If we do progress and we move through the tournament, I'm sure he'll be back to support us. But, you know, he's a young lad, he's got plenty of time, and he's got to make sure that it's right for his return. Yeah, but it's a blow because he's one of our top players. And, you know, in a tournament football, you need your best players on the park. And in particular with him, he gives that balance down the left-hand side with Andy Robertson and Callum McGregor, and they combine really well. So whenever any team loses their best players, then it will affect the situation. But it also is an opportunity for somebody else to step in. And, you know, we went to the game the other night against Switzerland, and everybody was itching after the performance against Germany. So, you know, there's an opportunity there for somebody to step forward and make a claim for it.
Terrible news, isn't it, boys? A terrible blow as well.
It's a shocker, but I can't say that we were surprised by the news, because you could tell as soon as he went down that he was in serious trouble. Then you look back at the replays, and it was like a hyperextension. It just looked bad. And you know, with Kieran Tierney, he's just cursed with bad luck with his body's concerned. So, you know, again, we spoke with John Carver just to kind of establish, because he said that Kieran hopes to come back out to the tournament, but it would only be as a kind of Lyndon Dykes supporters role in the hotel, because he's got no chance of playing, and you just hope that it's not another one of these lengthy layoffs. But I kind of fear it might be a few months before he's back playing football.
Yeah, I mean, I think I seen a tweet from Kieran Tierney today. He seemed absolutely gutted, beyond gutted. I think he was saying, a shame for lad. He's one of our big time players as well. I mean, Andy, can I ask you at this point? I mean, our whole formation under Clark has been built to accommodate Tierney and Robertson. When you take Tierney out of that, does the formation remain the same, or do you think he's got to tweak it, or how do you see it, Andy?
I mean, I just think back to that opening game at the Euros last 3 years ago at Hampden, and when Tierney was out of that game, and they had to go to a sort of more orthodox, 3 proper centre backs, and it just didn't really seem to. It lacked the purpose, as you say, that dovetailing aspect to Robertson and Tierney sort of working together, underlapping, overlapping, doing that left hand side. I think that's the whole purpose of the tactic, is to be able to get the two of them in the park, but also to have them working together, doing that left hand side. So for me, I think I'd be tempted to go back to a back four. I think it just simplifies it. It would allow you to get, our main strength is in the midfield. It would allow you to get another one of your better players on the park in the area where we're strongest. So, but understand, they obviously tried the back four a couple of times in the warm-up games, and it never really seemed to quite click. And obviously trying to change tactics mid-tournament isn't ideal either, but just based on how key Tierney is to that whole system, I think just it loses its main purpose when he's not available.
I agree with that, Andy, but I'm not sure that we should change. I was the first one when Kieran Tierney wasn't available at the start of the Euros. Why we sticking with 5 then? Because that's bespoke, designed in order to get these two players into the team, Tierney and Robertson. For me, at that point, it just felt as if what we're doing here is putting in one of our lesser talented players into this lineup and sacrificing one of the better ones, just to stick with a system which is designed for 2 players. I kind of think we've grown a little bit since then. I was very impressed actually with Scott McKenna when he came on the other night. At one point, he popped up almost like a left winger, and you're thinking, I think this boy has actually sat and studied how this system works when Kieran Tierney's in it, and he was trying to replicate what Tierney gives the team with these kind of forward runs. I think we stick, and one of the other reasons for sticking for me is, and the most important reason of all, I think that gives you the opportunity to get James Forrest into the starting lineup as right wing back, and I think we're crying out for it. Especially in this one.
Andy, you touched on it. I just think mid-tournament, once you've been in that rhythm of having the back 3 for 2 games, I think it's a big gamble then to go back to a back 4. I know you're saying it's kind of simplifying it because maybe most teams would have a back 4, but I think it'd maybe go the other way. And when you've been in a 3, to suddenly then change for such a crucial game, I'm not sure that's the type of guy or type of manager Steve Clark is. What I would say is, though, I think they need to be ready for changing it during the game, depending on how it's going. And there's no doubt in my mind, the last few days and tomorrow, I think they'll be working on both systems, both formations, because depending on how this game's going, depending on how the results going, depending on what Scotland need to get out of it, they might need to change mid-game, and that has to happen.
If you go to back four, it allows you to get more of the midfield guys, the wider guys, forward and keep them forward. You're not putting as much onus on the wing backs to get up and down the park. It allows you to build pressure more. But again, you're right. I mean, it depends entirely on what the Hungarians are going to do, how they're going to force us back. But
the other thing as well, Andy, if you go to a back 4, who are you playing at right back?
Well, I could perhaps see Clark just sticking with Ralston again. I think he's somebody who tends to not be knee-jerk in those situations. I think he tends to sort of, okay, it was a bad mistake, a horror mistake the other night, but I think I could see him being impressed with the way that Ralston sort of rallied himself and didn't lose the head, didn't allow his game to totally fall apart after the back of that, and maybe see that would be something to give the boy credit for. So there's no many options in that sense, but it's either Tony Ralston at right back or James Forrest at right wing back.
I know it might sound daft, but I think going to a back four would maybe leave us a wee bit more exposed, against this Hungarian team. I actually think you need it's almost like you need the protection of the back three. You know what I mean? Just an extra body back there.
Yeah.
That's why I think you're taking a risk. I think you're taking a risk getting into a game like that at the start. We are back four after you've been with a 3 for 2 games. However, that's not to say it won't change during it.
Well, we're talking about formations and players and all that stuff. There's a question coming in the hotline live from Alan Bennett, who I don't think it's the playwright, Alan Bennett. I think it's just a punter. Does Steve Clark have a decision to make about Jack Henry? Tony Ralston would take a lot of flack for his performances against the Swiss, but Henry was dreadful, which seems a bit harsh. But is that an issue, or is the team pretty much set in stone apart from these issues we're talking about?
I don't see him changing Jack Henry. I mean, listen, I don't think he's been brilliant, and I think me and Keith touched on this last week on the hotline live. He's playing in Saudi at a pace far slower than what he's getting at these Euro games, and I think that's an issue.
He looked startled by it against Germany, completely startled by it. I must admit that there were times during the Switzerland game where you're thinking that right hand side. I was getting butterflies every time the ball went down that area, because between the two of them, I thought they struggled. Tony Ralston more, I think, than Jack Henry. But something, our options. Let's get it right. Yeah. People are falling over here at this tournament. Yeah. We don't have numbers.
Other centre backs you've got are like McKenna and Cooper, who are left sided. So it would mean shifting Hanley, and I don't know. I think it would just cause a bit too much disruption. I mean, as I say, Jack Henry's not been brilliant, but Clark, can I trust him? No, he's pretty reliable, so I don't see him changing.
The other thing that Jack Henry gives you physicality. He's got pace. Yeah. He's big. He's good in the air. He's a big physical specimen. I don't think.
And he's a confident boy.
He's confident on it.
Mistakes don't bother him.
Listen, unfortunately for Jack Henry, it was his poor pass which actually contributed to Kieran Tierney's injury, because for the umpteenth time of the night, Tierney was having to cover in behind because I think Jack Henry was out of position. He tried to play a clever pass into Shea Adams when there's easier options open to him. The Swiss got the ball, broke on us, and that's when Kieran Tierney had to basically break his neck to get across and try to provide some cover at the centre of the defence, and that's when his hamstring went. So, unfortunate, but no, not ideal. And Jack Henry, I don't know if he would admit, because he is a confident boy, but I don't think he's up to full speed. But I wouldn't see any, I don't see a better option. I think Jack Henry plays.
They'll get other opportunities to maybe shift McTominay back there and go back, rewind 2 years, 3 years. That's just not going to happen. He's just so much more effective, especially in that role, just sort of try to get forward and support the strikers.
I was all for McTominay playing in that position when Steve Clark introduced it, because I felt it was a good way of getting our best, most talented 11 players into the same team. Same way as the system was designed for Tierney and Robertson. But I think it served its purpose at that time. I think we've got a better selection of centre halves than we did at that time. And it's the same thing. We were talking about it before, after the first game against Germany, when Scott McTominay's best position is, further up the field with grass to run into, getting past opponents, attacking the penalty box. That's where he got his goal the other night. Why would you take him out of that role? I don't know why we did in the first place for the Germany game. That box stays. Billy Gilmour, Callum McGregor at the base with McGinn and McTominay a little bit further forward. That's just got to stay. Anything other than that, I'd be absolutely astonished.
Yeah, but I think Jack Henry's a decent player. I don't think he was helping Tony Ralston the other night as well. I think a lot of his passing was inside his left foot, or just behind him, or lacking a bit of pace. And I think he caused some of the jitters that Ralston suffered from as well.
Possibly.
I think so. So maybe needs to be a bit sharper and a wee bit better with the ball from out that side as well, because you want your fullback to be taking the ball and the run forward rather than checking back and having to turn and all that stuff and getting caught with a press. But can he do that against Hungary?
That's what I think. We've obviously spoken about James Forrest being an option there. That's what I think James Forrest gives you. See those awkward passes or passes into you at right wing back when you've got a guy up your backside when you're back to the opposition goal. I think that's where Ralston struggled, technically to get himself out of these situations. He's no used to it. Doesn't he play that Celtic? But Forrest
so much more comfortable.
He's adept at that. He's comfortable in the ball. He's used to having guys, defenders behind him. He's got the ability basically to know when he's in a bit of trouble and more often than not come inside and pop off a pass or play a 1-2 or whatever. And listen, I think certainly if he doesn't start, the way the game's set up with Scotland having to win to go through, or think we need to win to go through, then if we're chasing a goal or chasing a victory, then I think Forrest will definitely come into the manager's thinking for that position.
Here's another beauty of a question coming from one of our Hotline Live viewers. Something that's probably beyond comprehension, but David Ross says John McGinn hasn't really kicked the ball yet. Can he raise his game for Hungary, or should Clark think about dropping him?
No chance.
I just said, Mike, if that midfield four isn't the midfield four, I'll be astonished. John McGinn, of course, he's going to play. And by the way, I don't disagree in that he's not given us what you would look for from John McGinn in the final third. The killer moments, the assists, the goals. That none of that has arrived yet. His work rate's been phenomenal. The work that he's put in for the team has been phenomenal. The ground he's covered has been phenomenal. And it's John McGinn. Who's to say that John McGinn's moment isn't just about arrived? Mike, we said, was it last night? John McGinn won't want to leave this tournament being remembered for doing a funny dance and wearing a silly hat.
No.
There's a big moment for John McGinn in this tournament. I would not count it out. I think he's the type of player. These things, sometimes it feels as if they're almost scripted. John McGinn has been such a vital cog in Scotland's wheel. It really wouldn't surprise me if his moment does arrive on Sunday. I really hope so. I'd love it for him as well, because such an infectious character, such a great guy around the squad. He'll be kicking himself a little bit. He'll probably feel as if he could have contributed more in the first two games. This one, it could be set for him. I've actually got a wee feeling that it's going to be.
No, you wouldn't bet against it, honestly. John McGinn, he's such a kind of character, and such a driven, motivated, tremendous Scotland player. But Andy, is he a guy, do you think he's suffering the effects? I think he's played 65 games this season. Does it look like a guy who's played 65 games this season?
Yeah, as he's saying there, you've not really seen that dynamic sort of John McGinn that we're so used to seeing down the Premier League, playing for Scotland in the qualifiers, and that's about it. He can't have played many more games in his career in this. We've seen at times like Callum McGregor, who's had similar sort of workloads, and at times, form it's only natural. It has to go up and down. Your legs can only cope with so much football. So, it's just that we've seen a lot of the England team. Not a lot of the time, when they come to these occasions, they're always sort of moaning that the onerous nature of the Premier League sort of leaves their players all sapped of energy, and they really struggle to get that fresh burst when it comes to tournament time. So, perhaps that is the thing. But I totally agree with Keith. It's unthinkable to be dropping him. He's even just for his physicality alone. I think if you're going to play Billy Gilmour in there, then you're lacking a wee bit of size and height in the engine room. And I think he's obviously that's his game down to a T. So for me, absolutely no chance. I think it is great that we do have decisions to make in that area. Does Ryan Christie, who's had a terrific season with Bournemouth, does he come in? Well, he might not start, but he'll certainly finish the game, and even he can have a big say in how Sunday's game goes. So, I think I would totally agree with Keith. I think it's that box midfield again with the four boys who started the other night. Yeah,
sorry, that was our bartender just come out there to check if we were okay. Do you know what? What we haven't broken the news about is we've actually begun the sorry process of having to pack up, haven't we?
No, can't believe it.
We're off to Stuttgart tomorrow morning. This might be our last night in Garmisch-Partenkirchen, our happy wee place where we've had such a happy wee holiday together, haven't we? Romantic time.
Yep, we're going to get around Garmisch tonight, say goodbye to all our
various places.
Our new friends.
Yeah, your local barman will be crying tonight. The prospect of losing his best income for the week.
It's sad.
The flag's at half-mast.
It's sad. We're up, even at the training centre, the media centre today. And you're looking about, and the SFA have got their own security guys, and his face is tripping him a wee bit. I can't believe this might be the last day. It's been such an incredible place.
It's all right though. Me and Jack have already booked up to come back next year for a romantic weekend.
Yeah. We're going to have to sort it out so we can both get the same week off. But
what is the logistics, boys? I mean, if Scotland get through, and we all hope they do they stay in the same base?
We'll be back here with bells on. We'll be straight back to Garmisch. But there's actually a scenario, and this is the weird thing, because we had the opening game of the tournament, and because we're Group A, there's a scenario where we could be not flying home. We could actually even draw with Hungary, finished third in the group with 2 points, and not know until Wednesday or Thursday if we've got another game in the tournament. Because until the other groups have been settled and decided, there might be this possibility that 2 points could get us through. So that would mean not coming home on the Monday and coming back down to Garmisch. But it'd be a really weird one, wouldn't you? Because you'd probably almost certainly.
That would be the most Scotland.
Wouldn't it?
For 2 days before you can know if you're in or out.
That's the worry, because that does sound like a very Scottish thing to happen. So can you imagine that, going to that press centre, going to interview the guys, and they think they're almost certainly out. They're just hanging about now, hoping for some sort of miracle, which is probably not going to happen. Yeah. I think that would be a difficult few days. So we're hoping that that's not the case.
The dream scenario was a victory, 3 points, guaranteed through. And
almost guaranteed.
And we can get the bags unpacked again.
Get those new boxes on.
Exactly.
I mean, we can still get second place in this group, remember, but there need to be a 6-goal swing. So the Germans would need to put three or four past Switzerland, and we'd need to do something similar against Hungary, And if that was to happen, then that's us. We're through. We don't even have to sit around waiting and calculating. We'd be through in second place. I think that's an unlikely scenario. I just come back to it. I just think whether it's a 1 goal, whether it goes off a Hungarian's backside in the roof of his own net. Well, if we just need to get the win. And guys, see, after all this time and all these tournaments, surely to God, if somebody was to offer us at the start of this tournament, just sit down and say, you get 90 minutes against Hungary, if you win it, you're into the knockouts. I mean, everybody would have signed for it. So that's where we are.
If you look back through history, I think if it 10 final games in major tournaments with a chance of qualification and haven't managed it, surely this is our time to buck that statistic and get this done, surely.
It can't. Well, a run like that has to come to an end at some point, doesn't it? It can't go on forever indefinitely. So, why not now? Why not? Listen, Mick, I've been at this tournament, not this year's tournament, but this tournament, European Championships, watching Iceland do it, watching Northern Ireland do it, watching Wales do it. Yeah. And it kind of sort of demasculates you, you're like, how's that? How can Wales be getting to this? And we're not even there. Our guys are on the beach someplace. It's so dispiriting. It has been. But the other thing that I kept thinking was, wouldn't it be great one of these days if that was us? Well, this could be one of these days. It has to be. It has to be.
When you look
Boys aren't ready to come home.
When you look at the support they've had out there, I mean, talk about winning hearts and minds. I mean, the Tartan Army, for all their detractors, and sometimes we know that it can be not some people's cup of tea, but they've certainly made an impact at the Euros, haven't they? I mean, I think we've actually heard from John Carver today talking about the other night in the noise in the stadium. We'll hear from John, see what he made of it all.
We knew we were in a difficult group, but we're now sitting here with the opportunity to try and get into the last 16. And getting into the last 16 is extremely difficult as well, because we've never done it before, because it's hard. So we know what's ahead of us against an extremely good team, well organised by the Italian coach. You can see that in their team, but they also have individuals who are very good. So we know we're in for a tough game. But if you had said to us, we still have a chance of qualifying going into the last game, snap your hands off. Even yesterday, when we got up in the morning, there were still people waiting for us. We drove to the airport. There was people going back to the train station. We went past the train station. It was incredible. And if you, as a footballer, and myself as a coach, when I listen to the Flower of Scotland, right, and I've been involved, and I'm actually getting a little bit emotional here now because I've been involved in some massive games, right? And when that tune came on, it's the loudest I've ever heard. And it brought a lump to my throat. So if that can't inspire these guys after what they did the other night, then, we might get beat because the opposition are better than us. But it won't be for the one to try, for sure.
By the way, what a clip that is, eh? I mean, John
Carver,
proud Geordie, lumping his throat, a tear in his eye. That doesn't get you going. What will?
Mike, see when he was, I'm thinking, this guy's welling up here, and then I'm sitting watching it, because obviously it's a broadcast and we don't get to ask questions at that. I could feel a lump in my throat watching him get a lump in his throat.
I was
Yeah, feel it now.
I was having to console Jack.
But then, so I've walked through, John came off the stage and we walked through the bit where we do the written media interviews, and I was speaking to him about it. I said, you've done well there, you were there. I said, I was nearly losing it. And he said, no, it's true. He said, and we'll talk about the national anthem, which, by the way, was just astonishing. The noise level was astonishing. And I said to him, I said, how were you at that bit? He said, look, I actually had to look at one of the scoreboards behind the goals, because if I didn't, I was going to start bubbling. So I just, to get through it, I just concentrated on looking up there. That's the level of passion and desire. And, I know we're talking about it's been a long season, boys have played a lot of games. Yes, they have. Guys in every nation at this tournament will have played a lot of games, because they're top players, they play with top teams, they play a lot of games. I think that Scotland believe that the sort of energy infusion that they're getting from the stands is acting like an adrenaline shot. You could feel it the other night. There were points in the game where maybe little lulls, and maybe we were coming off it a little bit, and the Tartan Army, it was almost as if they sensed it, and they went again. Yeah. And when they went again, the level come up, the energies come up. The connection between this support and this team is superb. I think the other thing you've got to remember is the Tartan Army. It's quite a broad church. This isn't the Tartan Army hardcore that you get going to every,
it's just normal.
Who, interesting characters. Yep. But
it's families, isn't it? Ordinary.
It's just normal people. It's just normal people. Normal people with a Scotland tops on, a pair of jeans. They don't have to wear the Braveheart outfit and the stupid Nessie hats and all that. It's just normal guys. But the passion, the connection. In fact, you can actually imagine the real hardcore Tartan Army guys. Where did these guys come from? They were in Moldova when we were there. This isn't like a real tournament.
The thing about Carver is, Mick, though, you think of the games that he's been involved in at Newcastle in particular. I mean, St James's Park's one of the most atmospheric grounds in the UK and Europe, maybe, when it's at its best. And he was there for a long time. So you think the games that he's been involved in, league games and Europe, and yet he reckons that was the loudest. And I don't doubt him, because Keith says, we felt it in the ground. And the great thing is, when we're at the game, you usually know this as well, going to games, sometimes you think something's a brilliant atmosphere, but you're not sure, just it's because you're there, and you kind of want to know what other people think it watching it on the TV. But you'll know, looking at social media and stuff the last couple of days, it feels like the whole of Europe is talking about that atmosphere, that rendition of Flower of Scotland. It was brilliant.
There was a wee guy in front of us, a Swiss journalist, I think, and as our guys were singing the national anthem, you just saw him and he was looking and his eyes were wide open, and he actually put his hands up like that, and he looked at it. It was like, what is going on here? It was, it registered. It just registered. And I think that you're going to get that atmosphere on steroids in Stuttgart on Sunday night. I think it'll be pumped up again.
Well, the great thing is, because everybody's been saying it's the best ever, if you're a punter,
you'll go another 10%.
You want to take it up a notch again. You want people talking about it again.
Well, remember,
so it's going to be brilliant.
Again, that was one of the things at Euro 2016, wasn't it? The Welsh, their Red Army or whatever, and then obviously I think they're natural singers, maybe not natural football players, but great singers, the Welsh. So they won that one.
You're upset the Tartan Army, now you're upsetting the Welsh, Jack. You're doing good here.
I know.
But Northern Ireland had their song at that one, Will Griggs on
Will
Fire.
Grigg, aye.
And that song was all the way through. But so I think, in terms of the fans, I think the Tartan Army are winning this hands down at this tournament. The Dutch are brilliant and are always brilliant, but the Tartan Army have just been outstanding.
It is a cliche, but if they're as good as we expect them to be, and they're there in the numbers that we expect in Stuttgart, it can help. It can help the team. I think it'll feel like a home game for them on Sunday night, and I think that'll be a massive help in terms of our chances of getting through.
Well, we actually turned to each other in the press box ahead of kick-off Wednesday night, and it was because of that. You could feel the atmosphere and just thought, this feels right. This feels as if this could be special. And that was created entirely by the supporters. And I think what you have to say, and yes, they do get criticised, and yes, I was taking the Michael a little bit there, Michael. But the bottom line is, they are giving everything that they can give. And they've been sensational. And the Tartan Army, Scotland's fans have deserved a moment. Nobody more so than us, all across Europe and beyond. Nobody's deserved it more than us. And I'd love it for them, because they deserve the chance to follow their team a bit further in this tournament. Could you imagine the excitement levels?
No.
Can you imagine how many people's going to come out for the last 16 game?
And the players know that. That's the thing. The players know what it will mean to them. You know, if they can make history, be the first team ever to do it. I mean, genuinely, it'll feel like the whole of Scotland wants to come out here for the last 16 game. Cause it's a moment in history, isn't it? A moment in time.
Yeah. I mean, I must admit, I've never been a huge fan of the actual song "Flower of Scotland." I don't think it's our best tune.
No, me neither.
I think, but that the other night, I think that was the moment it actually became our anthem as such. I mean, I think it seemed to be that time. It really hit the mark, didn't it? And it's
Mike, I'm not kidding you, right? And I'm standing there, and I'm like you. I'm not a great lover of the song as a piece of work. I'm standing there, and you could look, the hairs on my arms were actually standing up. I know that sounds cliched, it was actually genuinely true, and that you could feel the noise coming up through your feet, hairs in the neck, hairs in the back of the neck, hairs in the arms. Just a real. You actually had to take a sharp intake of breath, didn't you, just to get a bit of level of composure?
It did feel.
It was astonishing.
Felt different.
It was an astonishing moment.
Yeah. Listen, speaking about the fans, we'll hear from a few of them. Our roving reporter, Ryan's been out and about, and he's down in Stuttgart now. He's got his fresh underwear and heading down to Stuttgart ahead of you guys. So let's hear what they're saying.
There's been a bit of an issue with fan zones for folk that don't have tickets on Sunday. Looks like they're going to be showing the Germany game. What's your thoughts on that? And are you hopeful that the Stuttgart Council will put something on for Scotland?
I certainly hope so. Yeah, totally. I think it's the fan zones that we've been in and around, even sometimes at the quieter times, have been brilliant and so well organised. And yeah, accommodating is the word, and welcoming and like open to people, and want to share stories and talk about things as well. So I hope that other people will get to experience that.
Well, in Cologne they set up that fan zone with the English commentary, so hopefully they'll do it again on Sunday, because there's a huge amount of Scottish supporters.
Hoping that the council will be able to put something on for the Scotland fans.
It'd be great if they could, because I think because everybody's wanting to get that final win and gets through to last 16, it'll be busy, so hopefully they'll put something on for us.
Comes to it, will you just try and get a decent pub?
Aye, pretty much, quite happy just sitting in a kind of end of the day, the Scots, you know what it's like, they build a good atmosphere themselves anyway, so it doesn't matter where you are.
I think they'll turn up anyway, they usually find a way of getting in to see something or watching something, so.
Even if it comes to the pubs or whatever?
Yeah, I think they'll pile into the pubs, I mean, I was at the Porsche Museum and some guy asked me, do they sell beer in there? So I think anywhere where there's beer and there's a game, they'll watch it.
How do you think it's going to go on Sunday? Do you think we've got a chance of getting through the group?
Always optimistic, so if we can sneak that win, we get a better performance and result there midweek, so hopefully we can do it again.
Do you think we're going to do it? Are we going to get through?
Yeah, I think we will. I think we'll win 2-1.
2-1, who's going to score?
McGinn and McDermott.
The team is moving towards something, and it's a real chance to make us. I know we've been in this situation before, needing a result in the last game, but if you'd asked me before coming out, we were absolutely taking it.
Oh, Scotland! You can do it! Come on! Yeah!
They don't seem too downhearted. It's a bit of a shame if there's no proper fan zone for them in Stuttgart, right enough, because I mean we saw what it's brought in the previous venues, hasn't it?
That is the one thing, Mike. You hear about the kind of German organisation and all. You actually thought this thing would run as smooth as anything. I think, well, first of all, that's not been the case. There's been a lot of issues. But second of all, I think they've completely underestimated, and they seem to keep getting surprised. They were surprised there was that many in Munich. They were surprised again in Cologne. They're in for an even bigger surprise on Sunday. I think once they see the sheer numbers and the magnitude of the Scotland support, they'll go out their way. The other thing is, Mick, that everywhere you go here, people are raving about them. The locals saying that they were magnificent. I think we mentioned that in the show the other night. There was an old boy, a local in Cologne, who was caught in a rainstorm, came from nowhere, and it was battering down. This old boy's got the wee mobility frame, and he's trying to get himself up the road. You see two young Scottish boys go over with brollies, and they held it over the guy's head and made sure that he got to where he was needed to go. Stuff like that, you can't buy it. I mean, put it this way, they won't have to worry, the authorities in Stuttgart, about misbehaviour if, for whatever reason, the fans don't get the treatment that they would expect. They won't kick off about it. But I think because they're so good-natured, that people are going out of their way to accommodate them, and I expect that to be the same.
I think the issue is they're talking about the fan zones basically showing the Germany game, which is on at the same time, which you can understand, of course, being the host nation, but as Jacko says, knowing the numbers of Scottish fans that's going to be here, they're going to need to be a wee bit more accommodating, maybe get a bigger area for Scottish fans, because there's going to be tens of thousands without tickets going to the game, so it's important that they're looked after and they at least see it.
Listen, talking about fans with nowhere to go, let's drag into some domestic matters back home. Andy, Rangers could be starting the season away from Ibrox. What is going on here?
It's a bit of a mess. Effectively, they're obviously redeveloping the Colton Road end at Ibrox in order to upgrade the disabled facilities at the club. They, as we all know, that the sort of area that the disabled fans are made to sit right at the front of the main stand really isn't fit for purpose. The fans down there are, the wheelchair fans are left exposed a lot of times to elements. So the club made it a commitment a couple of AGMs ago to spend a bit of money and bring the facilities up to scratch. So the plan was obviously to put in a section at the sort of back end of the Colton front, but it seems that the planning hasn't quite gone as we'd have hoped. There's been a bit of a hold up with the delivery of some steel that's required for it, and now they're looking at having to play away from Ibrox for the whole first month of August. It's a bit of a shambles. I'm aware that the people behind the scenes at the club are furious about it, to be honest. So they know that this isn't going to go down well with supporters. They know it's putting Philippe Clement and his players in a position. Ibrox has been such a huge source of power for the club. We won't have to look at the impact it had during the road to Seville, where it's lifted them to heights that nobody really thought that team at the time could reach. So the fact that they're now having to potentially up sticks, move to Murrayfield perhaps, which seems to be the more likely option. Hampden is talk. Hampden might be available. They're supposed to be ripping up the pitch there in a couple of weeks' time after there's some concerts, a series of concerts sort of taking place there at the National Stadium at the moment. So, but whatever way, it's going to be disruption. It's going to be unhelpful, and it's really just not what the club needs going into a massive August. I mean, there's potentially 8-9 games in August, 4 or 5 of them at home. If you were to get a draw in the League Cup, but crucially, it's the league game. They want to get off to a flyer in the Premiership and try and put some sort of level of pressure on Celtic, a level of pressure that they've not really managed over the last couple of years, or certainly they couldn't sustain last season. And then obviously those Champions League qualifiers, which are so important to the club, the potential of £60 million. And so it'd be in this position where you're having to move the team away from where they take so much strength from, so much power, into unfamiliar surroundings, potentially asking fans to travel 50 miles along the road, along the M8 to Edinburgh. It's just not ideal. The club knows it's not ideal. They're aware that this is going to cause issues with support.
Andy, let me stop you, right? Not ideal. It's gross mismanagement and complete and utter incompetence for the Rangers board to have allowed themselves to get into this position. Let's call it for what it really is. It's shambolic on their behalf, and it's effectively the damage that might be self-inflicted by this has the potential to be absolutely catastrophic in terms of what it does to the team and trying to start and, as you said, have a challenge in the league. But there's £60 million worth of Champions League money up for grabs here as well.
Yeah, I'd love to know what Philippe Clement is thinking, honestly. I mean, whether he'll come out and say it publicly, I don't know. I'd probably doubt it. But my God, behind closed doors, he must be absolutely raging. I mean, he's trying to put a team together over this summer, to go and challenge for a title. He's under pressure to get into the Champions League because of the financial rewards that are at stake. And he's having to deal with this. He can't even play the first few league games of the Champions League qualifiers at their own ground. As you have said, an absolute shambles.
By the way, no wonder James Bisgrove got the first plane to the Middle East, because he was the guy in charge of this. And by the way, it's far from the first instance that you've seen of mismanagement from the people that have been in charge of Rangers. Even though I say this is a far better board now with far better people and a far better chairman than they've had for a long time, the mistakes just pile up. They keep on doing it. And this one is off the charts in terms of its stupidity. Not ordering the stealing. What? Honestly, it's beyond me.
This construction work's been in the pipeline for 2 years?
Yeah.
It was approved. It was approved at the last AGM. So it was approved in December. So they
can't get materials delivered.
Well, look at Edmondson House. Look at Edmondson House project. How far over budget and over time did that go? I mean, that was shambolic.
2-3 times over budget, I believe. That.
Incredible.
It's on a par, probably worse actually than the debacle Hearts had.
That's right. When they opened their newstand, that's right.
They forgot to order the seats. I mean, that was bad enough, but this is almost taking it to another level.
I mean, the board. I was going to say the board sought assurances, were given assurances, and it still hasn't been delivered. I think that'll be the frustration of the guys at the top of the marble staircase, because when you ask questions each.
Andy, if that's the case, then they'll be fine then, because they'll get the money back in compensation. If contracts have been broken and promises haven't been kept legally, they'll be in solid ground.
I think the problem is that the assurances came from in-house. That's why somebody's lost their job over this. It's a self-inflicted mistake. There's no doubt about that.
Are you talking when you say somebody's lost their job?
This won't end up in the courts. This will not end up in Rangers taking somebody to court over this. This is a self-inflicted mistake.
Exactly right. So when you say somebody's lost their job, do you mean Bisgrove?
No, James Bisgrove resigned. Somebody else has lost their job. Another member, a project manager, a member of staff, a senior officer, senior member of staff at the club has lost their job over this.
I don't like to see anybody lose their job, but there are some circumstances which I'm afraid necessitate it, and this is a bad one. This is as bad as it gets.
And the question does remain: where do they go? I mean, Murrayfield looks at the kind of obvious one, I suppose, if Hampden's out of commission. But there is a pretty big stadium in Glasgow they could maybe ask to use. Do you see that happening?
Not happening.
Firhill, I mean Firhill.
I could just see.
Even Hampden isn't an easy, as I say, isn't an easy fix either. That would seem like the most obvious one, but because of the issues with the pitch and the concerts there, and then as you say, Murrayfield. I mean, even it's going to cost them money to hire a stadium for another 4 games. Murrayfield would at least give them the option of a bigger capacity. Could they sell the tickets and offset some of the losses they're going to make? But whatever way you roll it, it's an absolute shambles, and
I was
going to have to wear it. We're going to have to wear this race.
I was through at Murrayfield when Celtic played some Euro qualifiers. That was Ronnie Dyer's time. What was it? It was at the Commonwealth Games. Rugby was using Celtic Park, and it's not a real experience. It didn't feel like a real experience. I don't think Celtic enjoyed the experience. I don't think it'd be a good one for Rangers. But they've caused their own problem. You're right. They could go to Peter Law and say, Peter, any chance of getting your stadium for these Champions League qualifiers? Yeah, sure. If you make it, you're going to need to give me 50% of your income from UEFA.
But what happens if they genuinely they go to the Champions League qualifiers, and of the 3 home games they say they need to play 3 home league games, they drop points in 2 of them.
Yeah.
And right away, before you've even kicked a ball at Ibrox in the new season, you could be 3-4 points behind Celtic. I mean, it's just. Utterly ridiculous.
And you've got the derby at Celtic Park to look forward to as well. What a mess they've made. What a mess.
Yeah, listen, boys. Anyway, from construction issues, we'll go back to the build-up to Sunday, and then we've got.
I like that. That was a nice reset. I'll see what you did.
Listen, second time out that's getting the hang of this now. Finally,
a proper anchor man, a natural born anchor man.
Anchor man, did you say? Anchor man,
something like that, Andy.
Listen, we've got a special treat just for Jacko. This is the feature he loves the most. We've got the return of our psychic Coos.
Seriously,
who's coming up with us?
Tell us how the game's going to go on Sunday.
Who's coming up with us?
Let's see what the
We're back here in Glasgow's Pollok Park for our final Euro 24 group prediction for Scotland, as Alma and Jimmy predict whether the Scots will see off Hungary in Stuttgart. We've seen a bit more caution from the Mother Highland Cow, whereas Calf Jimmy has been getting right in about it to back Scotland all the way. Let's see what they have to say about Scotland's clash with Hungary. First up, Alma will make her final group game prediction. And oofed, she's backed the informed Hungarians to beat Scotland. That makes her total predictions for the Scotland group stage campaign a win against Germany, a loss against the Swiss, and a final loss against Hungary. A very Scottish way to do it, if ever. Here's Jimmy coming up now for his last run out, and he's went straight for Scotland again. You can't bash his enthusiasm, as he says Scotland will finish the group on a high with a win on their last group stage outing. The wee man has backed Scotland all the way, and at 1 month old, he's been quickly hit with the reality of being a Scotland fan. There you have it, our Coos have spoken, but what are your thoughts on Scotland's final game against Hungary? Let us know.
Segment doesn't even work.
Dear, oh dear.
It doesn't even work. I mean, you've got one doing this, one doing it. Doesn't. There's nothing makes sense about this. It's not funny.
They've got a draw the other night, so the Coos got it right the other night. I mean, they've won each, so it's suggesting again another one each draw again, aren't they? The psychic Coos. But anyway,
I don't want to comment, mate. I've got nothing to offer here.
Judging me my record at the bookies, they're probably better at predicting football results than me.
Listen, I'm the exact same, Scotty. I mean, the way my tournament's gone so far, makes you all go with the Cows. But anyway, hopefully the Cows are wrong.
Anyway, I enjoyed my burger. Earlier on today. How was your burger?
Nah, no good.
Well, you boys enjoy your farewell to Garmisch, and hopefully Garmisch.
I'm going to tear up again here.
John Carver, there are going to be tears on the Hotline Live here. We used to get emotional. Listen, let's leave a wee packy bag for underwear for next week. Hopefully we're back next week. We'll get you boys back on Sunday, I think, for ahead of the big game anyway. But listen, thanks for your time, chaps. So thanks for watching. Keep an eye on Record Sport on all channels online. And we'll keep you posted on the updates of the Euros. But all the best, guys.
We'll see you from Stuttgart.
Cheers,
see you in Stuttgart. See you, chaps.
Cheers, boys.